Hello and welcome back to the Mechanics YouTube channel. This week we're not doing any work. Rick's got something else planned for us. So what we've got planned, Rick?
So basically, normally we'd obviously be filming something, doing some sort of modification or a job in general on a car. But Christmas is coming, everyone's busy, we've all got busy lives outside of this place too, and I just thought it'd be nice to first off show and share a few things with you guys. Basically, me and Rick have obviously worked and known each other for over 20 years, which says a lot.
20 years, yeah.
Long time.
Yeah.
And just going to show you a couple of cars that I've owned personally in the past and a couple of projects that Rick's either owned or worked on.
The Max Power days, if you remember them.
Yeah, the Max Power days.
Good old days.
And obviously, to anyone who does remember that, it's also doing the rounds again. It's making a bit of a comeback. There's a 2024 event planned, and we may or may not be attending that yet. We'll see. So, yeah, just going to show you a couple of cars. And before I get into that, just wanted to thank everybody basically that's subscribed and supported us so far. We've only been going a couple of months to date, and I want to appreciate all the subscribers that have joined up, and we hope obviously you're going to stick around with us next year and see what other cool stuff we potentially come up with. So,
yeah, we'll do as much cool stuff as we can, give you something to keep you entertained hopefully.
Yeah, obviously time and money, two things not everybody has a great deal of these days, but let's get into it, and I'm going to start off by Corsa. So
tell us the story, Rick.
I'll tell you the story. So basically my Corsa, it's not a vehicle I would obviously normally buy this. It's a 1.4 SRI. It's on a, just looking at this image, it's an M-Reg, so 1995 Vauxhall Corsa. And in these days we're all young and silly, and I bought this car on a whim. Somebody who we worked with at the time had a Saxo VTR when they was all the rage, obviously, they was popular.
Fastest thing since sliced bread.
Yeah, we'll not get into that. And this is the reason I bought this car actually. I know technically the Saxo VTR is a faster car than this, but the person that originally bought this car, they used to do a bit of buying and selling. They'd bought this car to do it up and sell it on, and the person who owned the Saxo was giving them a bit of grief, saying how crap and slow it was, basically, in a nutshell. That sounds about right, wouldn't it, Rick?
Well, something like that, yeah.
So they threw me the keys and told me to go quietly shut him up. So I legally street raced against the on a private road, sorry, not street.
Private roads, yes.
Against the Saxo, and we set off at the same time. I beat him to the destination we was going to.
End of the private road.
Yeah, end of the private road. And on the way back I let him go first, and I still managed to obviously overtake him and beat him back. So when he had been rightfully shamed, I don't know why, I just decided to want to buy it. It needed some work. The front bumper, the back bumper was damaged, the spoiler was damaged, it was sat on some 13-inch steel wheels, and as I flick through these pictures, you should see these now popping up in the background. Yeah, didn't do a massive amount of work to it. As you can see, it's a typical boy racer. Again, we was young, so it was all the rage back then. If I remember rightly, it's a Corsa Combat kit.
Corsa Combat kit.
Yeah, Corsa Combat kit, that's what it was called. Got the traditional Lexus style lights that everybody was putting on them back then. And the bonnet vents from an Astra Mark III GSI. So yeah,
that's how you know it's fast.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't though. So yeah, that's the first car I was wanting to share with you, just show you it. And moving on from that, before we go to another one of mine, we'll get Rick here to give you a little rundown on one that
I got.
One of my favourites that you used to own. Honda Civic.
Honda Civic, yeah. So this is my entry into the Japanese market. Nice little Civic I bought off a friend, nice and cheap.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had some fun, legal fun in this car.
Excuse me.
Yeah, did me proud. I mean, there was an engine been built for it, but then near the end
Plans changed.
Plans changed, so then it ended up in a different car. But yeah, we built a nice turbo engine for that. I mean, this must be 2005, is it?
I think it's
So,
slightly
yeah,
earlier.
a while ago. Still, parts back then weren't that easy to find. But yeah, we pieced together a nice forged turbo engine, and
Bear with that embarrassing ringtone of mine. So you were saying, Rick, forged engine.
yeah, built a fully forged turbo engine for it. Didn't end up putting it in that car in the end anyway.
Which I'm kind of annoyed with, because anybody who's not specifying our age, but of a similar age to us and remember these sort of cars, they're now fetching silly money.
Yeah, I'd like one again, to be honest. It was
Very cool car. So as we move away from that beautiful Civic, this is what it destined out to go towards.
Yeah, so we ended up with a CRX Del Sol, if you know what they are.
Yeah, as you'll see it now.
Another little Jap car. So yeah, we ended up putting that engine in there.
Yeah. Also the car, as you can see there, what's some of the trick bits, Rick? Can you remember the body kit that's on this one?
Yeah, so veil side body kit, obviously be rude not to back in them days, very popular thing. Quite hard to get hold of for that particular car, but yeah, huge fan. A lot of them on MR2s, FTO, stuff like that, if you can remember them sort of body kits.
Yeah, I can't remember them rear lamps. I have no idea, because they're not Lexus style. I know they've got...
There was yeah, I can't remember where I even got them.
Brand names is in old age, senile dementia starts to kick in. Ignore the Pontiac Fiero in the background as well, guys.
No, don't look at that.
It's a nightmare of a car that we also technically built.
Had a few engine swaps.
Yeah, did a lot of work on it.
Yeah.
But there again, I'm looking through the CRX here, Rick, the seats. They were cool seats.
Yeah.
I loved them.
Yeah, I can't remember the brand.
I do. The white carbon fibre,
White carbon fibre.
Cobra bucket seats. But I can't remember the specific model.
Obviously, if you've watched any of our other videos, I'm quite fond of a bit of carbon fibre.
We love a bit of carbon fibre. But back then,
yeah,
that was really, well, for us anyway, because we didn't earn a lot of money back in these days.
Mechanics back in them days, it wasn't the best wage, was
Mechanics back in these days,
Yeah,
regardless of what people may think, yeah, definitely different. But here we are, yeah, there's the engine now, we've moved on to the engine, so do you want to... There's a lot going on there, Rick. Can you remember a lot? I can remember quite a bit, but...
Well, fully forged.
Parts-wise, I can see straight off the bat we've got a Cusco radiator, MSD standalone ignition system.
Oh, MSD, yeah.
Yeah, the Venom plenum intake.
Yeah.
Was,
Custom 70mm throttle body.
Yeah.
Crower cam.
HKS sequential dump valve.
Yeah.
Mugen power strut brace. That's something that must be rare now.
Yeah.
Must be like rocking a horse poo-poo, as they say. I've not seen them anywhere. It's not something I've gone looking
See,
for.
back in these days, getting parts like that was very difficult. A lot of these parts actually came from America. The manifold, turbo manifold, that's before I started making them myself. I had that custom made in America.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, it was a costly build.
So they've got Crower cams, all sorts, titanium valve springs, everything was done to that. I mean, the goal for this car, I know you haven't really spoke on it. Initially, if I remember rightly, the goal for this car was to literally go to Santapod, which is a very famous place in the UK for drag racing, and try at least have a go and see whether it could potentially be, at that time...
A 10-second car, yeah.
Yeah, either a 10-second car or the fastest front-wheel drive Civic in that category, really, sort of. I mean, it had the potential for, like, silly numbers. Like, not by today's standards, but...
No, I mean, today's standards, you can get a Golf R and map it, and you nearly get the same sort of power, but... Yeah, back then...
Back then, definitely. Like, looking at potential of going up 600 horsepower or more, really. I mean, again, with all cars, really, the sky's the limit depending on your budget. So, again, at that time, that was an awful lot of money.
I mean, it was a special build for its day, really. Yeah.
Yeah. So, we'll move on to the next one. Go back to another one of mine. I used to be obsessed with Vauxhalls. Excuse me. So, if you are from Europe, obviously Vauxhalls are more commonly known over there as Opel, and this particular one, I don't know about the Mark IV. I used to be obsessed with the Mark IIs back in the day, Astra GTE. And the Astra is called an Opel Kadett in Europe. and I got this car. This is a 1998, and it was so this car when I got it was about 6 years old. It was the newest car I'd ever owned in my life at that time, and again I can't remember what made me buy this, but it was a what they call a 1.6 Sport, and the later models, because this on a 98 they still made the Mark III, so this one is a Mark IV. And the later when they sort of kind of like really became popular was the year 2000, 99-2000 model. So 2000 model, they changed it from a Sport, because that was the old badge branding, if you like, from the Mark IIIs and other early Vauxhalls. They changed them to SXI. I don't really know what the SXI actually stands for, to be honest. I kind of lost interest after that. But yeah, it was a 3-door. And I had everything colour coded, aesthetically, realistically, just paint the rims traditional gold. That's something I'm very well known for. Painting wheels horrible colours in most people's opinion. But
Yeah, I do carbon fibre, it does gold wheels.
Hey, I like it. It's each to their own, and at the end of the day, yeah, as long as you're happy, don't care what anyone else thinks. And remember that for when you're doing your own builds. Don't worry about what other people think. As long as you like it, that's all that matters. But yeah, so we're now looking, and it's got a turbo.
It's got a turbo. I didn't really remember this build, actually.
I do, yeah.
Till Rick brought it up. I don't remember why we did it even.
You normally persuade me with his stupid ideas.
Somewhat will have happened that I'll have led him astray in some...
Yeah, I think it. No, I'll be honest. I think it was at the time you was doing that Honda that we've just looked at. So you was doing the Del Sol, and you'd gone through, like you say, the custom manifold for your Civic.
Yeah, so that engine, that Civic engine had a few variations before it was built. I changed my setup a few times, so obviously we had lots of spare parts.
Yeah, and the big key factor, and I think it looks quite nice there, I'm going to say that obviously, but the manifold that was fitted to this car, because this is a hodgepodge. I've never seen, like again, back then, and we've forgotten a lot since those early days, but back then we never seen this engine turbo. This is an X16 XCL is the engine code, I do remember that much.
Yeah.
The manifold that's on it is from a Honda B16, clearly, because that's the engine you had. And what we did was we took the Astra Mark IV GSI, had a Z20 engine available at the time, and you, because you're the welding expert here,
merged them together.
merged them together, yeah, and just made it work. And literally, this was built in my back garden over a weekend. Few hours on one
Talk
night.
about backyard builds.
Yeah, this was backyard building.
This was definitely a backyard build, this one.
And regardless of what many people will think, at the time the rage was Octavia VRS was like very popular.
Yeah, that came about, didn't it? Octavia's.
Yeah, and I'm speaking from first-hand experience on this particular day in question. We can all argue about the driver, but the Octavia was very visible in the rearview mirror that day. Let's just put it that way. And,
I remember that day well.
Yeah, it was good. Yeah, because we'll not go into the next car that you had at that time, but yeah, it was a cool build, man. Definitely something different. I know guys these days will be doing all this sort of stuff. I know they're a specialist doing all sorts of things now, but yeah, at the time, bit unique, bit different, and a home build really, and that's what it's about. It's about having fun, building something for yourself, enjoying it. That's really what we did in the days. We made the best out of what we had with what little money we had, really, didn't we? So. And going on to the last one that I'm going to show you today. I like this one, so I picked this one. And for anyone who's in the UK again, because I'm not sure how multinationally this car was sold, but Ford Mondeo.
Ford Mondeo.
There's a lot of aspiration I can see taken from a particular car here.
A lot of work went into this, really. So it started out 2 litre Mondeo gear or something, I can't really remember now. But the owner liked the sound of dump valves.
That was it. That was the only reason, right?
That was the only reason. Yeah. So we just so happened to do another turbo build on this one.
Yeah, you were always leading straight.
yeah, turbo Mondeo.
Yeah. Body kit, it's got. I mean, these cars now, they're very. I mean, I'm not saying this particular model's few and far between, but it was a heavily popular everyday
normal family car, wasn't it?
It's literally driven by either seniors or certainly not in the more of what we would call the boy racer scene.
No. It went really quite well. That did.
It did. And more importantly, I'm like the appearance. To me, this is what I like about the car. So, for myself speaking on this, and you can counteract this if you like, Rick, but it's got a lot of inspiration from two Japanese cars, in my opinion: Subaru Impreza.
You may have a bit of Subaru Impreza in there.
100%, and a Mitsubishi Evolution.
Yeah.
I would say more going along the lines of an Evo 5.
I mean, the bumper.
You made yourself in part, not all of it.
It ended up becoming that. It wasn't originally going to look like that, but once I'd mounted the intercooler in the front bumper and to allow for all the pipe work for this turbo kit, the bumper didn't fit anymore. So what we had to do was cut the bumper out and then mould in. They're actually they look quite good, but they're actually speaker pods.
I can't believe you told them that.
Speaker pods that I moulded into the bumper and just put spotlights in.
Yeah.
But I mean they look quite fitting.
It was cool in that time. Again, everyone was putting. I can remember quite a lot more. Again, I'm like the Moretta headlights.
Moretta red lights, yeah.
It's not something you see anymore.
No.
I honestly, I'm glad that some of this car scene is coming back, because I do. You start to reminisce about the old days as you get a little older. You kind of brush some stuff off. You move on with life, and you end up just buying a car that's basically good out the factory, and you don't need to touch it these days like an M4. But even though it's still got some trick bits, I mean, you can't help yourself, can you? So you've done some stuff with that, but. This day and age was you got something affordable and you spent an awful lot more money making it to something that you'd actually want to buy.
Yeah, I mean that was the max power era.
Yeah.
Everyone started off with what they could afford and made the best of it, whether you was going for performance or
cosmetic experience,
yeah.
And then you go crazy with sound systems, bit of everything.
Yeah, sound systems.
So I really like that car. Missed that car.
Yeah.
And again, so there was a turbo, and we'll show some of the pictures there, and that's basically it, really. We have obviously got an awful lot more. We don't want to bore you all to death. Right, so camera just died. We've just had to change the battery, so I'm not sure where we're picking off there, but I was just saying we don't want to bore you to death. Took enough of your time if you watched it this far, and again, if you have, we appreciate it. But we're going to tuck into these mince pies. Seems though it's Christmas, we're going to have one of those. And
Christmas mince pies, yeah.
Sounds like a plan.
Yeah.
And as we always say, Rick,
catch you on the next one.
See you next year, guys.
See you next year.